So we did the demo code for the file system and the path module. Now let's move on towards the HTTP module. Let's look at another module for HTTP. So this allows our application to use the HTTP network connection. So let's actually quickly build a simple HTTP-based Node.js server to understand this. Okay, so let me quickly go back here and let me write a server. All right, so I'm just going to create a server.js file, and within here I'm going to be using that HTTP module. So I'll just say const HTTP equals require HTTP. All right, so what are the core functionalities of a server, right? So we have a host name and a port, right? So let me define a host name. So I'll just say const host name equals, I'm going to be using the local host, so I'll just say 127.0.0.1, and the port I'm going to be using is 3000. I'm sure there's nothing running on 3000, but let me try that anyway. And now I'm going to be creating a instance of a server, so I'll just say const server equals, now I'm going to be I'm going to be creating an instance of HTTP server. So let me say http.createServer. This is one of the methods it provides us. And for this, we have to pass in a function with request and response. So request and response. And within here, I'm going to be sending a response of status code, setting a header, as well as displaying some information. Okay, so let me say response.status code. Since the connection was successful, I'm going to be sending status code of 200. I'm going to be setting the header, and in here I'm going to be setting the content type of text plain. So I'll just say content type. So if you were sending or interacting with JSON data, it would have been application /JSON. Since we'll be working simply with the text, you'll see why we are working with the text. I'm just going to send hello world. That's it. Nothing more. You want to keep it simple. All right, perfect. Now we want to listen on the port that we have created and the host name as well. So we'll say server.listen. And I'm going to be using the port, host name, and the callback function. And let's quickly log out, because how will we know that the server has started? So let's say console.log at, let's say, HTTP, and I'm going to be using this host name and port name. So this value can change. So that's why I've actually stored this in a variable. This value can change depending on where you're running the application. So I'm going to be saying host name and the port. All right, perfect. So I think this looks good. Let me close the other files. We don't need them. Let me make sure everything is correct. So we are not sending any requests. So if you notice this, this has not turned bold yet. So I think the code looks fine. I don't see any errors. Let me go ahead and run this. All right, perfect. So it says server running at HTTP, the local host port, the host name, and the port of 3000. So perfect. So what HTTP module gives us is the ability to make connections using the HTTP protocol. Okay. All right, perfect. So let's move on. So we created the HTTP server, and now let's talk about error handling.